Anti-immigration riots now have spread from coast to coast. Agitators, criminals as I call them, are violent and clashing with law enforcement in major United States cities. And right now, the National Guard is on the ground in Los Angeles while the chaos continues to unfold. So we've had 5 nights straight of this. This is Outnumbered. I'm Harris Faulkner, here with my co-hosts Kayleigh McEnany and Emily Campagno. Also joining us today, Riley Gaines, host of Gaines for Girls on Outkick and Outkick contributor. And Charles Payne, host of Making Money on Fox Business. And he's happy because the Dow is up and he's making money. Good one, Charles. Anyway, in Southern California, active duty U.S. Marines have arrived, and they are standing at the ready to mobilize if the unrest actually gets worse, now on day 6. Over the past few days, anti-ICE rioters have attacked our law enforcement, destroyed some city streets, and set cars on fire. But instead of trying to restore law and order and put a stop to the madness in his city and his state, Governor Gavin Newsom is laser focused on fighting with President Trump.
Donald Trump, without consulting California law enforcement leaders, commandeered 2,000 of our state's National Guard members to deploy on our streets illegally and for no reason. This brazen abuse of power by a sitting president inflamed a combustible situation, putting our people, our officers, and even our National Guard at risk. Trump is pulling a military dragnet all across Los Angeles, well beyond his stated intent to just go after violent and serious criminals. Democracy is next. Democracy is under assault before our eyes. This moment we have feared has arrived. He's taking a wrecking ball to our founding fathers' historic project.
Wow, he does that deliberately. It's not even like he's confused. He had no words to say for the rioters. He didn't have a problem with them stepping on our democracy, actually. But now President Trump is defending his decision on sending troops to L.A., warning that he will not allow our nation to be taken over by violent rioters.
I want to say a few words about the situation in Los Angeles, California. Have you heard of the place? Where I've deployed thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines to protect federal law enforcement from the attacks of a vicious and violent mob. Generations of Army heroes did not shed their blood on distant shores only to watch our country be destroyed by invasion and third world lawlessness here at home, like is happening in California. As Commander-in-Chief, I will not let that happen. These are animals, but they proudly carry the flags of other countries, but they don't carry the American flag. They only burn it. People that burn the American flag should go to jail for 1 year. That's what they should be doing. 1 year. The agitators are throwing firebombs and Molotov cocktails, lighting vehicles ablaze. You saw the cars that were burning, mobbing police officers and ICE officers. Under the Trump administration, this anarchy will not stand. We will not allow federal agents to be attacked, and we will not allow an American city to be invaded and conquered by a foreign enemy.
See, I think that's one of the reasons, Riley, that you're seeing his numbers tick up in approval, particularly on this issue of illegal immigration. He just calls things what they are. It's anarchy.
That's it. That's it. Yeah, Donald Trump has this special ability to be authentic, to relate to everyday Americans, which is it's hard, right? He's a billionaire. It's not to be expected of Donald Trump, but he has such a unique way of doing that. And to your point, Harris, the American people are getting everything that they're voting for with everything that Donald Trump just said. Cannot believe this has been happening for 5 days. Cannot believe we have an entire political party that is outwardly and publicly embracing it. And if they're not embracing it, they've been totally silent on the condemnation of it. And I cannot believe that Gavin Newsom is blaming Trump for this. Actually, really, I can believe it. Yeah, that's not surprising. He has taken, of all of the 80-20 issues, doesn't matter what it is, he has taken the unpopular side. In his lawsuit, actually, against the Trump administration, the DOJ surrounding the LA riots, one sneaky part he really snuck in there was surrounding the issue, actually, of men and women's sports. His lawsuit claims that by banning boys from girls' sports, this causes serious harm to transgender students. Again, all of that to say, totally out of touch with reality that everyday Americans face. And Donald Trump is on the key side of this issue, and we're getting what we voted for.
You know what's fascinating to me, Charles, given what Riley has said about the politics that Gavin Newsom is playing, because I think that's what you're talking about, not a single Democrat who has spoken out about this issue and called him and others wrong. They'll say, oh, no, we can see that it's not all peaceful, that sort of thing. They're trying to find a message. He might run for president, likely will. If you even have any thoughts of running for president, Kamala Harris, you might want to call this guy wrong. And she's from that state, but instead you don't hear that. You hear TDS, Trump derangement.
Fetterman is the only one out there, right? He seems to be the sane Democrat. And you know, to your point, he's taken these issues, and you mentioned it as well, that were big losers in 2020. He's trying to repackage them. You know, bringing up the Constitution and the Founding Fathers and these kind of things, which they completely dissed last time. They said, well, maybe we can integrate them into our story. It'll work. Anarchism is the key here, right? I'm doing my entire e-block on my show today is on the history of anarchism, because I don't think the average American understands how powerful of a movement this was.
Right.
President McKinley was assassinated. A bomb blew up in Wall Street that killed 38 people. This was a dividing line. When America decided to fight it, you know the key way we fought it? By the way, how did it get here? Immigration. The second wave of immigration, the Southern Europeans, particularly in Italy, had embraced this. They embraced anarchism. And unfortunately, they didn't fight back against it, and that led to Mussolini. We're fighting back against it because when Gavin Newsom talked about protecting the nation, this is what you do to protect the nation. You don't let it dissolve into anarchy or anarchism simply because you don't like who's on the other side because of your political ideology. Your first and foremost job as an elected representative is to protect the people, and Newsom is ignoring that.
Yeah. Well, he's losing on the issue. He's also losing with this one judge, Emily. I mean, he got rejected. This whole idea of trying to stop Trump from coming in with... Now, they're going to make a different type of a ruling maybe later this week. Maybe the judge will let it sit. But he rejected the idea of a temporary restraining order. No, Trump can continue to do what he's doing until this judge makes a final call. I mean, and that's coming this week.
Yeah, and just to be clear what that was, so it allowed time for the government and also the state to submit their briefs. So they're due by 2 p.m. today Eastern. The hearing will be tomorrow. So essentially it was allowing for time for them to argue the merits. So the immediacy, the urgency of an immediate stop, that was what was rejected on the part of the judge. And I talk about framing, or I think about framing for this. So Politico has all of a sudden decried Gavin Newsom as the emergence of the leader of the pack, of the anti-Trump resistance, with no talk whatsoever about the fact that he is presiding over an anarchist riot in LA, the dissolution of any type of law and order that was under his watch. They talk about mission creep, and they say this is exactly the heart of this lawsuit, that this is what we feared, they said. This is what Democrats feared about President Trump winning this election, which was the use of federal, military forces to augment immigration enforcement. But the reality is that the augmentation is because the ICE agents were getting attacked. The augmentation is because in the natural course of execution of duties, there was an all-out violent assault on the city streets, and that was in no way stymied by local and state authorities. So what else would be the catalyst? What else would be the case study for the use of federal guards? But, you know, per Karen Bass, well, everything has largely dissipated down there in Los Angeles. But the reality is the community is there. It has not. And that is why we need to ensure the protection by the president of all of our citizens.
Well, but it wasn't going in that route. I mean, we're not in day 2. We're in day 6, potentially. Yeah. I mean, we just saw night 5. So it wasn't anything that she did. They put in force that curfew. But it's everything that the president was doing before that got them to this point.
Yeah, the president has had to step in because Gavin Newsom decided to derelict his duty. You know, when I step back and I say, what are these protests about? We've seen the Palestinian flag, we've seen the Mexican flag, we've seen all sorts of different, denotations. This guy, he works for Barstool Sports, Jack Mack, CFP. He said this, and I think this is what it's about. I hate Trump so much, I'm going to loot my local sushi spot. That's it. I hate Trump, so it's time to loot my local sushi spot. That is what this is about. And Gavin Newsom has fully embraced this. And last night I'm watching Gavin Newsom do this 8-minute direct-to-cam, and the lines coming out of his mouth, the rule of law has increasingly given way to the rule of the Don. Democracy is under assault before our eyes. These sound like remarks that could have been lifted from Joe Biden's blood-red MAGA speech back in 2022. Sounds like they directly came from there. What happened, though, between 2022 and now? Donald Trump became more popular. CNN's Harry Enton put up a poll of immigrants who immigrated to the nation. They are citizens of our country. And he found that plus 32 in 2020, they supported Democrats on immigration. Now they support Republicans, plus 8. That is a 40-point swing. So why is Gavin Newsom doing this? Gavin Newsom's doing this because he's seen the data. He's seen the CNN poll that shows 57% of Democrats want you to resist Republicans, even if it means stopping the agenda. The 57%, that is the red, shiny apple of his eye. And he's a political animal. He's ready to grab that shiny red apple and devour it, even if it means devouring LA along with it.
Yeah. And that poll, interestingly, because Mark Meadows and I were agreeing on this point last hour, that poll was taken before what we've seen in the last 5 nights.
Exactly.
I argue that it will even lean farther to the right from legal immigrants, because that's who was polled. I mean, they are going to lean even harder because they don't want this to go on either. You're destroying some of their businesses.
No, they fled that nonsense. That's what they fled to get here in the first place.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.